Mike Webster's tragic life began as the most celebrated story in football and ended as its most devastating warning. Iron Mike, the legendary Pittsburgh Steelers center, won 4 Super Bowl championships and earned 9 Pro Bowl selections, but his final years were spent homeless, living in his pickup truck and shocking himself with a taser just to fall asleep. The man who anchored one of football's greatest dynasties died broken and alone at age 50. Yet his death would spark the most important discovery in sports history. This is how Mike Webster's tragedy became football's salvation. Mike Webster grew up in Wisconsin with dreams bigger than his small frame. At 6 feet 1 inch and 255 pounds, he was considered undersized for an NFL center. The Pittsburgh Steelers selected him in the 5th round of the 1974 draft, and most experts thought he would struggle. They were completely wrong. Webster earned the nickname Iron Mike through pure determination. He became the starting center in 1976 and never looked back. His job was simple but crucial: protect quarterback Terry Bradshaw and clear paths for running back Franco Harris. Webster made it look easy. He started 150 consecutive games, a remarkable streak that showed his incredible durability. The Steelers won 4 Super Bowls during his career, victories in Super Bowls 9, X, 30, and 14. Webster was the anchor that made it all possible. His individual achievements were just as impressive: 9 Pro Bowl selections, 7 All-Pro honors. He played 15 seasons and 220 games, both Steelers records at the time. The Pro Football Hall of Fame inducted him in 1997. But Webster's greatest strength would become his greatest weakness. Webster played center, the most violent position on the field. Every single play began with him colliding headfirst into defensive linemen. His head became his weapon of choice. This was the 1970s and 1980s, when head injuries were simply part of the game. Players were expected to shake off hits and keep playing. Webster embodied this mentality perfectly. Doctors would later estimate that Webster endured the equivalent of 25,000 automobile crashes during his football career. Each collision sent shockwaves through his brain. Nobody understood the long-term consequences. Webster was praised for his toughness and willingness to sacrifice his body. His relentless style made him a Pittsburgh legend. Webster retired after the 1990 season, having spent his final 2 years with the Kansas City Chiefs. He left the game as one of the most respected players in NFL history. Then everything fell apart. Webster's post-football life became a nightmare that nobody could explain. The Hall of Fame center, who had been so reliable and steady, suddenly became erratic and unpredictable. His business ventures failed one after another, leading to financial ruin. But the money problems were nothing compared to his health issues. Webster began suffering from severe memory loss, depression, and chronic pain in his head, back, and joints. The pain was so intense that Webster became addicted to prescription medication. The most heartbreaking detail was that his teenage son Garrett moved from Wisconsin to Pittsburgh to take care of his father. The traditional roles were reversed, the child caring for the parent. Webster's wife Pamela divorced him 6 months before his death. She couldn't handle his dramatic personality changes and violent mood swings. Only later would she learn that a brain disease was causing his behavior. The mighty Iron Mike ended up homeless, sleeping in his pickup truck or in train stations. Most shocking of all, Webster used a taser on himself to fall asleep. The electrical shocks were the only thing that could quiet his restless agitation. On September 24, 2002, Mike Webster died of a heart attack at age 50. His family thought his suffering was finally over. They had no idea his greatest contribution was just beginning. Dr. Bennett Omalu, a Nigerian-born forensic pathologist in Pittsburgh, performed Webster's autopsy. He had heard stories about the former player's decline and expected to find obvious brain damage. Instead, Webster's brain looked completely normal on the outside. But something felt wrong to Dr. Omalu. He decided to preserve the brain for detailed microscopic analysis. This decision would change sports forever. Omalu's examination revealed abnormal proteins called tau deposits throughout Webster's brain tissue. These proteins were killing healthy brain cells responsible for mood, emotions, and decision-making. Omalu coined a new term for what he discovered: chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or CTE. Webster became the first NFL player ever diagnosed with CTE. The NFL demanded he retract his research paper and attacked his credibility, but the evidence was undeniable. Other former players began showing similar symptoms. Terry Long, Webster's former Steelers teammate, died by suicide in 2005. His autopsy confirmed CTE. Andre Waters, a hard-hitting Philadelphia Eagles safety, also died by suicide. His brain tissue resembled that of an 85-year-old with Alzheimer's disease. Dave Duerson shot himself in the chest specifically to preserve his brain for CTE research. Junior Seau, one of the most beloved players in NFL history, also shot himself in the chest. Both were confirmed to have CTE. The pattern was clear. Football was causing a degenerative brain disease that led to depression, memory loss, and suicide. Before his death, Webster had fought a legal battle that would prove crucial. In 1997, he filed for disability benefits from the NFL, arguing that his brain damage resulted directly from his playing career. The NFL initially denied his claim, but Webster's attorney pursued the case aggressively. A U.S. District Court ruled completely in Webster's favor, awarding him full retroactive benefits. Webster's estate received approximately $2 million in benefits and legal fees. According to the NFL, this was the only disability lawsuit they had ever lost. This legal victory proved that player brain injuries could be directly linked to their football careers. The precedent became crucial for future cases. In 2012, thousands of former players filed a massive class action lawsuit against the NFL. The case eventually involved over 4,500 plaintiffs seeking damages for brain injuries. The NFL settled for an estimated $900 million in 2013. The agreement provided monetary awards and medical coverage for affected players and their families. Webster's tragedy ultimately saved countless lives through revolutionary safety changes. The NFL implemented sweeping reforms that transformed how the game is played. Independent neurotrauma consultants now monitor every game from the sidelines. They can remove any player showing concussion symptoms, regardless of the team's wishes. All players undergo mandatory baseline neuropsychological testing before each season. This allows doctors to identify cognitive changes after head injuries. New rules expanded illegal use of the helmet and established stronger protections for defenseless players. Kickoffs were altered to reduce high-speed collisions. The league launched nationwide initiatives promoting concussion awareness in youth football. State legislatures passed laws preventing young players from returning too quickly after suspected concussions. These changes extended far beyond professional football. High schools and colleges adopted similar safety protocols, protecting millions of young athletes. Mike Webster died as a cautionary tale, but his legacy became one of hope and protection. The 2015 movie Concussion brought his story to mainstream audiences worldwide. Dr. Bennet Omalu received the American Medical Association's highest honor for his groundbreaking discovery and perseverance under pressure. Current studies show that CTE has been found in 99% of former NFL players' brains examined after death. This stunning statistic validates Webster's sacrifice and Dr. Omalu's courage. Mike Webster's story represents the ultimate paradox. His celebrated strengths, durability, toughness, and longevity were directly linked to the trauma that destroyed his life. But his tragedy became football's salvation. The man who protected Terry Bradshaw for 15 seasons ended up protecting every player who came after him. His unwilling sacrifice established new ethical standards for professional sports leagues. Webster will forever be remembered as Iron Mike, anchor of the Steel Curtain dynasty, 9 Pro Bowls, 4 Super Bowl championships, and a Hall of Fame career that defined excellence. More importantly, he'll be remembered as the player whose death sparked a revolution in athlete safety. His final contribution was greater than any block he ever made or any championship he ever won. The secrets hidden in Webster's brain forced an entire sport to confront uncomfortable truths about player welfare and corporate responsibility. His legacy transformed football from a game that ignored brain injuries into one actively working to prevent them. Today's NFL players are safer because of Mike Webster's sacrifice. Youth athletes across America benefit from concussion protocols inspired by his story. The Warriors' final victory wasn't won on the field. It was won in laboratories, courtrooms, and medical facilities, where his tragedy became the foundation for protecting future generations of athletes. Mike Webster's life began as a celebration of football toughness. His death became the catalyst for football's conscience.